So welcome, thanks everyone for coming out. Who has never been to anything of this nature ever? And right up. So only a few. So who's been to mediumship demonstrations and the like before? So it's kind of similar because so I'm going to make it put it in layman's terms as much as possible. I could explain it in several different ways depending on how much knowledge you have yourself. But there's so many new people in here, then we'll just keep it simple. So if you've one of those that have seen a medium on the platform, then when they're giving you their information that they're receiving from the spirit, it's done through the senses. But if you know, each and every one of us have this etheric body. Everybody know about that or have ever heard of it? No one? No, not of it? Well, you have this etheric, it's your spirit body, if you like, around. And in that field around you is your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all in that body. And your mind energy. And so when you're giving off evidence from the platform, whether mediumistically particularly, first of all, so the spirit, that's where they engage with, is in that, and then that's where you receive through that, whether it's the knowledge or you might get an image in your mind, or depending on your development also, you might take on a little mannerism. Say your granddad had arthritis or something in their hand. And so while the medium's giving this message from your granddad, you might just see this little sign that in one of their hands, they pick that up as well. So there are many different factors of the personality, the aspects that you can pick up. Now, in trance mediumship, for me, my own understanding, the way I know, the same theory, the same thing is used in the same way, except that the spirit put their energy in at a deeper level, make a stronger connection with you in that way. And then in that, then you will pick up much stronger aspects of the voice, a change of voice, much more of the physical. You'll take on a good percentage depending on how much you can switch your own conscious mind off and allow things to go on. And the knowledge base also won't be of the mediums, it will be of the personality that's engaging with the medium. So you all got it? Is that yeah? So the other thing is, this evening is all about communication. So if you're sitting there nodding, the spirit don't know anything about that, but your voice carries a huge vibration. And so if you respond accordingly, so I hope you've all got your questions. Did you all jot down your questions? Because it's an evening of philosophy, so you can ask on any, spiritual. Don't ask me if you're going to marry Dave from the Butchers next Tuesday. I haven't got a froggy. No idea. But on a spiritual level, about your life, whatever, I don't know. There's a book like that on questions about the spiritual in there. So just think of whatever it is that you choose to ask. Now the other thing, how are they going to interact with me? What am I likely to do? How am I going to be perceived from your perspective? Well, I've never looked at any of my videos. I never will, not interested. I don't want to see myself in that. Because the whole idea is for me to disassociate myself with myself and the personality. Because the more my conscious mind is involved in the going on, you will hear more of me, and if I involve myself too much, then I'll lose that connection. So I have to make some kind of space or shift myself slightly in one way or the other. I don't know what I do, I just know that I get into a zone and I manage to do that. Whether that is sitting out of it or I don't know. I can hear at points what's going on. Now if you think about it, so afterwards there's no point asking me, you said this and you want me to expand on it. It's no good, because the knowledge is not in my head at this minute and it doesn't originate with me, so therefore I'm not going to hold it afterwards. The knowledge comes from this personality that uses my pathways, whatever they are, to communicate with you, will give of his knowledge and respond to your questions in the best way that he can. And don't forget, again, it's just another person that has passed over, okay? So they're not all suddenly all-knowing, angelic, masters of this and masters of that. They'll be like you and me that have passed over and have decided to come back for a portion of time in this guise, in this way, just to assist and give you of their knowledge in whatever field it is they know. They're not masters of all. They have their own knowledge. If you want to ask a plumber about how to fix a tap, you ask a plumber, you don't ask a mechanic. And so he'll have his own core knowledge, okay? Although I would think, although I know, it's a little more extended than yours and mine, that's for sure, okay? And so there's a few fallacies about trance mediumship. I don't know if any of you have heard them, but I've seen some good examples on YouTube and what have you. You're not possessed. They don't jump in your body and I start doing the chicken dance up the hallway. That's not happening. There is no contorting. There's no discomfort for me. I've seen all sorts of things. People sitting in their chairs and suddenly throwing themselves back and gargling like the Exorcist and stuff. That's not happening. When you think about it, common sense prevails. And the thing is, why would you go through all of that just to answer a few questions or do, you know? It doesn't make sense. And if that's what it takes to do that, I wouldn't be involved in it at all. So tonight's going to be the philosophy of whatever that you ask, and we'll see what that is. Okay, so now then, you're allowed to, while I get myself all like in this zone, whatever you want to call it, feel free to chat amongst yourself. The noise doesn't disturb me in the slightest. That's not a problem. However, when someone asks a question, just allow it to be heard and responded to. If the spirit gives an opinion on something, it doesn't mean it's written in stone. It's just that person's opinion from what they've lived, from what they know, okay? It's not the holy grail of anything. It's an opinion. So if you want to argue the point or debate it with them, say, well, actually, I think, don't be afraid to do so. And I'm sure you'll enjoy that aspect, okay? So don't be afraid to do that at all. So is everybody happy with what, can you get a picture of what's going to be, all right? Okay.
Right. And it works on energy, so as soon as it goes quiet and no one asks questions, then Colin will start to dip and come back to being Colin. So
yes. Just bear with me one moment while I gather myself in the mind of the young man. Just let me collect myself in this moment. And feel free to carry on and speak amongst yourselves just for a moment. Yes, God bless you, each and every one of you, and thank you for being around and with in this meeting between us this evening that gives me the opportunity to give of my own personality within the young man's frame in this moment, you see, and again to feel myself as some sort of physical being, you see, to feel the substance of oneself in a way that one forgets when one is within the realms of the spirit, you see, and in my spirit self, you see. And it doesn't matter how many times, you see, that I pour myself into this situation, that it is always a newness about it on each and every occasion. To feel oneself in this manner, as when you yourselves move from the physical, you see, and put yourself into the world of the spirit, and again in the transition itself and being in that place and how you will feel and how you will represent yourself also in that moment, you see. It is quite something else that in your current state in your own mind, or something that yet your mind cannot yet grasp, but yet you know it yourself within you. You have needed to forget, you see. You've needed to be in this physical cage, as it were, you see, with these restrictions that are put upon you in many ways, you see. And once in the spirit, see, these restrictions are lifted, so much so that one forgets oneself almost from the life from which they have just come. And so much is left behind within the physical body, you see, all the judgment of one's life, all the sorrow of one's life, all this and all that, you see, is all left behind with that personality that is no longer you and yourself, you see. And I have more to say on this in a while, but you see, I have a feeling that someone has something in their mind that will draw me back to this, you see, in a while, you see. So let us progress in this moment, you see, and grab the energy while it is here. So can you all hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. Great, it's nice to hear those voices, you see. And so I encourage you, see, to connect with me on that level and to hear your voice, be specific, and explain to me that which you wish to know. And I will do my utmost with the knowledge that I have in order to set you free of this, whatever this is, and to encourage you and to maybe make you understand, or at least give you an avenue or a path to follow to make things easier. Do you see?
Yes.
Yes, goodness me, yes, God bless. And so, young lady, if one wouldn't progress in the, yes.
Yeah, Les,
Yeah. Yes.
The question that I have is, when we pass over, do we have a choice of who we meet on the other side?
You will be drawn, young man, you see, to those that have loved you and have this. Thank you, you read my mind, young lady, thank you very much. And you will be drawn, you see, those that will be drawn to you, that is, where there is the connection of love and emotion. Do you understand me? And I wonder to ask, young man, if you asked me that question in case there was someone one didn't want to meet. Do you understand me?
You're correct.
Yes, I thought as much, you see, and so let me say to you that fear not, you see, in your moment of departure from your world to ours, it will only be the connection of love, you see, that will bond. And it is all knowing in as much as what would be the best for you in that moment. So it would be a moment of comfort, do you understand? It won't be a moment of I don't want this and I don't want to see this person or that person, because those that represent you will be there to connect with you and to see you through. Do you understand? So lose that fear. And you know, let me tell you, young man, that in your awakening, when one crosses to that moment, let me say to you that all those judgments that one carries with them in their mind, and you see, I knew, yes indeed. You see that I was going to move into my conversation earlier, and I had the feeling that someone had something to say on the matter. And so this is why I was alluding to the fact that when one leaves this place, one loses those judgments. Do you understand me now?
Yes.
You see what I say to you particularly in this moment. This question and this statement was for you and for you alone in this moment, you see. And so all those things that one carries about past relationships, whether personal or family or this or that, you see, the hates, the jealousies, the dislikes, if you like, and all of this will all be left behind. And so you shall no longer view that person in the manner upon which you do in this moment. You see this?
I follow what
Yes, well, you see, it's hard to get by one's own physical mind when one is in the physical. But let me tell you that you will not be the same person. Do you understand me?
Yes,
You will not see things in the same way. There will be a clarity, there will be an understanding, and there will be a coming together. Do you understand?
yes.
And so, yes, let bygones be bygones anyway. Why would we? It is a waste, you understand. To carry such a thing that no longer serves oneself has no point and serves nobody. Do you see? So God bless you and thank you, young man, for your question. Yes, madam.
Who had another question? Yeah.
When you pass and you go on to the spirit world, if you pass suddenly, is it frustrating for you to then transition from the earth plane to the spirit world?
I understand your question, young lady, very well, you see. And there are several aspects to my reasoning and my response. I have never personally passed in such a manner, do you understand?
Yeah.
And yet I have my own understanding of the situation in which you refer. I understand that, yes, in moments when one has been taken so without a second's realization of one's departure, where one would still for a moment believe that one was still in the physical, do you understand me? Because of the suddenness of such a thing, if one had no foresight, or even see something coming to them that was going to cause such a situation, do you understand me? And so, but let me say to you, past is past, and in the spirit is in the spirit. And one quickly succumbs to that which they surrounds and envelops and is within oneself, do you understand me? There will be those there in that moment that know, even if you do not, that your time to pass is upon you, you understand me? And so there will may be a moment where the realization may need to be pointed out to oneself. But it is not as something where one wonders between the two, not knowing, I mean, in a state of mind that would suggest that one does not know if they're here or there, and that one would linger in perpetual not knowing of any kind, you understand. One will know within a brief measure of your time in it, at least, do you understand me? And it will be made apparent and aware to one where they are, and they are home, do you understand me? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Another question? Joe?
I've got two questions actually, but I'll go with the easier one first to save the more philosophical one for later. When I meditate, or in a guided meditation, and I'm trying to visualise, it's an effort to do so, and I really struggle with it, and it then engages my conscious mind. How do I get past that so that I can visualise in my meditations?
Madam, yes, you speak of a great difficulty that affects a lot of people, and you know, the mind is the source of everything and anything, do you understand me? It is the ruler of all, it is the creator of your whole existence. So how powerful a tool is that, you see? And to master such a thing on any level takes practice. And it is that alone, madam, that will see you into the moment of when one can master one's own visual aspect, do you see? And it is just a case, quite literally, madam, of keep pulling oneself back in the moment. But when one fights a thought, you see, it is like ignoring that it doesn't happen, and yet thought is thought and will always occur at one point or another. So better to let the thought come, deal with it and move it, rather than block it, you understand? And then when one draws oneself back to its operational focus, which is the meditation in your moment, and the focus of something, then revert to that, and you will find, madam, that within time, the mind will learn to accept that it is not this that you want, it is this, because you have conditioned it to do so. Do you understand me? Madam, when you think about your daily habits, when I say habits, I do not mean anything of an OCD nature or anything of that manner. But let me say to you that you will automatically function in some manner or another, will you not?
Yeah.
And simply because the mind has been conditioned to know that you do this then. Do you understand me? And it has been conditioned over a period of time, has it not? And it is simply a case of responding to conditioning. The way that we all have been conditioned, you see, from the crib, if you were, in our early years, to the way that mother would make us do this or do that, or whether school would make us do this. My employer would say I need to do this, and the government does this. Do you understand me? It is a case of conditioning the mind and accepting. But condition of mind does not necessarily mean accepting either. Do you understand me? It is a good thing to sway the mind away from the routine, from the regimental, from the expected, and instill within it in your daily lives, if you were, a change from the routine, a change from the regimen, something to ignite something within the thought and within the mind, you see, that sparks another process of engagement, one of imagination, one of breaking the routine, and one of doing something out of character. Do you understand me? And from a soul perspective, from a personal perspective, from a well-being perspective, it is a good thing, you see, to get out of this and not to listen to all the claptrap from the newspapers and the TVs and the radios and those of so-called peerage who claim to know how we should and shouldn't live. Do you understand me? Follow this within oneself and experience, because this is all you have, you see, in this lifetime. You will lose everything of material that when you leave this world, and the only one thing that you will take with you is what? It will be the experience of, whatever that may be. Do you understand me? And so this routine that you will take with you when you pass into our world, into your home world, it is your life story, it is your book, it is your photo gallery of all that you have done in this existence. And when you read it back to yourself, and you look upon this book or this album of pictures and videos and the such, you are going to want something much more than what you read. Let me tell you, whatever you read about your life, when you pass and look back upon your experiences, it will never be enough. Do you see? You will always have wished you had done more with it. You will always wish you had helped more. You will always wish you had been, you had expanded your horizons and your experiences on a far greater detail. And so I urge, in this capacity to all of you in this moment, that is the aim, you see, is to experience, to live and to care and to give, you know. The currency of giving to one another is that is something so grand in yourself when you move beyond this world, you see, where you will look back upon and think, I could have done more, because you are away from this. You are away from this, you're out of this body, and you are your true self. And in the essence of yourself, all you wish to do is love, care, help, assist, and do for others. That is the nature of the spirit. And so detached are we, even in our physical moment, that we do not see how much we are underachieving. Do you understand? And so this is my yes, I do go on, madam, I know, but yes, that is my thinking, do you understand? So yes, well, I forget your question, I hope it was answered, was it? And so follow the rest as well, all of you see, because it is of significant importance. Let no one dominate, rule, structure you, put you in any moment whereupon you are inhibited to the fact and to the point where you are not your true self but living the life for another. Do you understand me? Be of your true self, live your own existence by your own laws and your own rules. And as long as one treads not on others, then there is no harm. Do you understand me? Be your bigger self, your universal self, and live. Set no limit, set no wall, set no boundary. Move up and beyond. Set yourself targets and then set more and move up and beyond them all. Do you understand? Be your greatest ever self in this lifetime, not the next, you see. So yes, thank you.
Is there another question? Yes, yeah. Yeah, you want to go first?
Is there such a thing as soulmates? And if so, do we meet them in every life or maybe just some of our lives?
Well, yeah, madam, you see, yes, it's very, you know, this has been discussed on several, let me just gather my mind, yes, my mind. This has been discussed, you see, in several moments previous, you see. And yes, madam, there is such a thing that you, upon the physical, refer to, well, in the manner of soul attachment, soulmate, twin flame essence of, exactly, madam. And yes, those analogies are correct, and there is such a thing. And for me, madam, in my understanding, when one is in connection with or meets up with this soul connection of the other, you see, it is often a big learning within that, you see. One often thinks from your side of the world, you see, that when one has a soulmate, it is going to be of extreme love and last forever. And yet that is not the case, madam. It is not the thing. It is that for a period of time that may be one's full life, you understand. It may be the moment, it may be the day, the week, the month, but it is the lesson from which comes. Do you understand? Within that connection, you see. And even in that same moment, let me tell you, madam, that they can be, in your physical sense, in this way, your worst nightmare also, let me tell you. Because they are here to bring the learning that you so require, do you understand? And who better to bring it than someone that loves you the most, you understand? And the thing can go both ways. It is not just about you see. Because they have their own part to play and to receive or give in whatever way you have decided upon between you in that moment. You can see there are those that are so connected in those, you may even have the job of ending one's life. It's extreme as that may sound, madam, but that is a possibility. That is a possibility. Because you know, for one to suffer, when you think, let me just tell you a little something in this moment, you see, yes. You see now, as one walks through one's life, you see, in this moment, there are tragedies that register with you as human beings, and yet from the world of spirit they are just the experience. You understand? Because once you have left them, they are gone. When you are here, they are no longer there. It's just the experience that you take. But while you are here, you judge everything on a scale. Do you understand me? That wasn't very nice, that wasn't very good, that was terrible, that was disgusting, that was violent, that was most inhumane. Do you understand me? These are all the measures that you put upon each other's actions, whether they are really good in your positive way of thinking or really bad, you see. And yet they are neither. They are the opportunity to experience and to learn for soul growth in that moment. And so when you come to, if you were to decide to come, madam, back to this physical experience again, you see, and your soul would choose, now not your physical mind, madam, because if you think with the physical, you act accordingly. When one thinks with one's spirit, with one's gut feeling, with one's intuition, and even more, because there are aspects of the soul that we are never fully in tune with to feel how the soul feels, or to think or to examine on the level that the soul sees things, you see, not whilst within the physical. But when one has left this world and one chooses from the soul perspective to reincarnate here, and chooses maybe a very short or very long, in fact, existence, where within that existence one wishes to choose an extreme case of suffering for oneself in one way or the other, because it chooses to learn within the soul, you see. And so there may need to be an antagonist within that, you see, that may be the perpetrator of things that instigates your not so well-being and your what's the word, your fall from grace or your whatever. Do you understand me? And so to imagine if I was to come out and with you on your next trip and you said to me, do you know what, I want to suffer this most horrifying death while I'm here. I want to know what it's like to experience this. And I, as your soulmate, would say, do you know what, I will come and do this with you in this moment, you see. Knowing that upon this physical realm, for me to instigate such a thing against another fellow man is not only going to be grave circumstance for you, but then me as the perpetrator, what sort of life am I going to live thereon? Do you understand me, madam?
Yeah.
Yes. And so you see that you understand, and to be in this situation, I must have great love for you in that side of the world, would I not, in order to put myself in such a position where I know that I would be incarcerated for many a year, or depending on what region of the planet I was on, I may even be put to death myself. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so do you understand now that which I've said to you in that context, madam?
Yes.
Good. God bless you, yes.
Okay. Yes.
Do we reincarnate to different planets?
Madam, let me tell you this. There is an understanding that sometimes needs explaining. Yes, carry on. There is, yes, there is something that needs explaining, you see, madam, upon for everybody, you see. And that is, you see, in the beginning, there was everything. Do you understand me? So when we talk of the new findings within the planets or the solar systems, they were there in the beginning, madam. The possibility, do you understand, of everything was there in the beginning. What's another word I look for? Bless me, I cannot think for the life of me, you see. Let me start from the beginning, you see. So in the beginning, whatever you label your creator as, is it in existence, is it not? and it is the first, the last, the everything. And everything contained within that creative energy, the possibility of it being in existence is there because this intelligence, the greatest intelligence there is, if it knows it, it can be it. Do you understand me? It can be creative. Do you see this?
Yes, I do.
And so in that moment, any possibility of anything ever existing can exist, does exist, will exist, even if it's in thought form at current point. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And so when one on this planet, and I label you not within this, madam, of the small mind syndrome, do you understand me? And thinks that I am the one and all, the species of everything, and that I am the higher form of this and that, you see, and that I am all, is of a small mind, you see. And when one thinks just like you, madam, you are the creator of greater things, you see, because you are creating within your thought system there the possibility, the potential, madam, that was the word that I was seeking, the potential of, and the potentiality, madam, for everything and anything is always there. Things you have never thought of have potential, do you understand? Because this creative force has no boundary. And as soon as the thought is put out in that, then one has created more than the potential, because the thought is an energy within itself. You have spoken, madam, about the potential, the idea, the possibility that one may be born upon another planet. And in your own sensible, down-to-earth mind, in a simple thinking mode, what would you answer to yourself in that moment?
Yes, yes.
You understand me?
Yes.
Because you have accepted beyond this broad, beyond this narrowed horizon that exists within this frame here, you see, that if one dares to look beyond the veil for a moment, beyond the limit, beyond the boundaries that I was expressing to each and every one of you, not just in your experiences, but in your thinking, you are creating those possibilities in yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
And so let me say to you, madam, absolutely. Where do you think that these extraterrestrials that are spoken of are so broadly and widely and are finally getting accepted? And why it has taken the human mind to accept in so long, so long, that the possibility of such a thing is finally here, bemuses me beyond compare. Bemuses me beyond compare. There is no rationality or thinking or logic to put oneself in this planet and only this planet, madam. Like I said to you in the previous, madam, everything and every possibility and every potential was already there. And therefore, the existence in thought, even in the beginning, meant that that was the possibility. And now, madam, let me say to you in simplicity itself, yes, of course, and yes, they are, and yes, they do. Do you understand me? Yes, God bless.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I want to talk about intuition.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
You started touching on it, and I really kind of wanted to know what it is and how we can develop it, and how and what gets in the way.
Yeah. What gets in the way, madam, that's an easy bit, you see, and that's you see. Each and every one gets in the way, madam, and that's all it is. Let me tell you, madam, about intuition. Let me tell you about intuition. Now then, you travel this road in your car, all of you, every day, and you sit at this set of traffic lights, do you not?
Yes.
Put this in your mind's eye for a moment. You know your route to work, and if you are a car driver, you go to work and you stop at these traffic lights. And yet you know instinctively, because you have stopped at them so many times, you know, with your intuition, this light is just about to change to green. Do you understand me? And it is the repetition of knowing and accepting that. And when you know, madam, within yourself, you know, and there is no argument about knowing, you do not need somebody to write it down for you in black and white upon paper as proof. You may have met somebody and in your knowing, something tells you, this person is, there's an aspect of this person I don't like, and it's this, and yet I've only been in their energy for moments. But do you need to be told by someone else that that is the case? No, you do not, because you know and you feel it, you see. The only way for you to acknowledge this intuition is whenever something happens, however minimal, however minuscule, however unimportant it may seem to you in that moment, when it occurs and you knew it was going to occur, whether it was a phone call from brother, sister, or whether you knew that so-and-so was, whatever the moment, however small, acknowledge the feeling first and the knowing, and then when it occurs, tell yourself, yes, but I knew that. I knew that because I felt it and I knew it within myself. And the more you acknowledge your potential once again for this knowing, the more you encourage things to occur within. Do you understand? And so practice. It was the same as conditioning one's mind. And these tiny little thoughts and things and nuances that come around you each in this moment, you see, you use these moments, you see, to store them and to know. And the only way I can suggest to you, madam, in these moments is, as I say, is to keep on and keep on. Do you understand me? And then test yourself, get a feeling. Do you know, madam, there is a lovely way when one has problems within one's life, you see, and there is this crossroads, and one needs to be in a moment of decision making for oneself. And for example, one is offered a job, you see, but then someone else offers me a job also, so I have the choice of two. Do you understand me? And so in this moment, it is not about the characters that interviewed me. It is not about this or that. And I will ask myself out loudly, and as I respond to myself, I will feel a response from within myself also. Do you understand? And so, do I go and work at the basket factory? And then I feel myself. Do you understand? I feel what is within me and the response of my energy. Do I go and work at Ann Summers? And then again I would feel the same. Do you understand me? But it is about the response from within oneself in one's core, because this is where the root of your intuitive state is, you see, because that is your gateway to your true self in this way. And ladies, you are the most gifted, believe it or not, in this manner. It is you that has the greater potential for this knowing, for this intuition. It is of your nature, your born nature with your children, to know and to care and to understand as they grow, as you're always judging which is the best course of action for this, which is the best thing I should do. But you understand, because you are constantly using that tool, that initiative. And so I say to you, exercise the muscle, test it on itself. And don't worry about initial results and things. Just keep moving onwards and upwards and expanding that. Do you understand me, madam? Yes.
Thank you.
God bless you, yes.
Hey, do you want to ask the second one, Jen?
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot in circle about parallel universe or dimensions. So my question is, if that exists, how does that affect a soul? Because in my mind, if there are parallel dimensions, so they exist at the same time, the soul would need to be divided in each of your existences.
You think so?
Yeah. To my mind, the existences would need to be successive, so that the soul stays as a whole, rather than parallel, where the soul would have to divide.
You make me think very deeply. Yes, let me gather myself, because I feel like we have someone else to come. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Bear with me one moment in this, yes, you see, yes, you just lose it. We speak very deeply on this subject. Madam, let me say to you that, of course, the universe from the physical and the logical mind is a world beyond even comprehension. Do you understand? And so I understand your question, madam, and I applaud you for engaging in such a depth on such things, because it is far deeper, madam, and in a language that in myself I cannot explain in a term that would probably satisfy you implicitly. Do you understand? Because we move beyond the realm of simple in itself. Do you understand? And that you are quite right in saying that we have alternate realities of things. Things are layered upon layer, madam. The same as your time, you can only understand yourself moving from From the moment you wake until the moment you sleep, on the journey from A to B, and I need to be there at this time, which means I have a scale of time of 20 minutes in which, do you understand me? And yet there is not this factor to come into the equation within this discussion that you put upon me in this moment, do you understand? And yet, madam, I cannot agree and yet disagree with you in the way that you say that the soul in itself would remain, because the soul in itself is not, as you view it, and in itself is not one entity at all, madam, anyway. Do you understand me? It is a collective, and yet it is individual, and yet it is a part of the whole. Right. And it is linked on every level, madam, to everything. Do you understand me? Yes. And so to separate it in such a manner, madam, is not something I can put into a frame or in a way that you as individuals all here can say, yes, I can see what he's talking about, madam, because you will not, you understand me. Right. But enough to say to you, madam, yes, there is the soul. There is the soul connected to the soul that is connected to the group of souls that is created and connected to a greater group of souls that is connected to the all, madam. Do you understand me? And yet the all in itself has its own individuality within it, and yet it is all one, madam. Okay. It is something that even in my own understanding, especially from within this frame, in this moment, I can see the trouble that one would have with the physical mind in comprehending such a thing. And yet in my own mind, away from here, there is a clarity that I just accept, madam. Yeah. You understand me? But does it help you in any way to see it in that fashion, yes, madam? But to know that, yes, you are quite right in your estimation about what you say, madam. It is just a way to understand of how the soul perceives it and interacts with it on that level, madam. Do you see? Yes. And I feel like I've been inadequate in a way, madam, do you know, goodness me, in being able to explain to you in a satisfactory manner that you can walk away from here and say, I think I understand more. But that is my hope, that maybe you can see it on a slightly bigger or a clearer understanding, madam, in this moment. Do you see this? Yes. Yeah. And have I been sufficient?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, God bless you for asking it, yes.
Yeah, we've got another question.
I've got 3 questions. Hello.
Hello, God bless, yes.
My first question is, what is the purpose of being here on this planet?
Yes. We'll go there first, madam, sure, because I will forget everything of what you say post this question. What is it, madam, if you can just rewind yourself to the beginning of this evening, you see, in this moment, whereupon it I'll say to you, madam, that there is one thing one takes with us, madam. Do you remember this moment? And what was that, madam? Do you remember?
Our experience.
And so that is the purpose, madam. Okay. But the experience is many-fold, madam. It is not just necessarily about you yourself. And yet ultimately it is you that takes away the bulk of those experiences. Well, you take them all, madam, to be honest, you know. Anywhere you are involved, you are going to take this moment with you, you see. But the other thing, madam, that you will take with you in the moment when you move to the other side is how one impacted upon the others within that experience. Do you understand me? And it is so important that when one interacts or has an impact on anybody else's life, where this is the moment where one needs to be very aware of what one is doing when it involves itself in someone else's life. Whether making choices for them, on behalf of them, with them, or the actions that I do will have consequences upon them, whether what I say or do or think. Do you understand me? Because all are equal. The action is no greater than the thought. Do you understand me? They all have the same impact. So did that answers your first question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. My second question is, for what reason are people scared? I'm scared to die, and I meet a lot of other people that are scared.
Madam, you see, yes, madam, there is a huge portion of those that move from this side of life, you see, into the spirit that have the fear of, madam, the fear of. And let me tell you, the young man in whose mind I sit in this moment has absolutely none, and is not so much welcoming the death, but doesn't invite it and yet has no fear of it. Do you understand me? Yeah. And if it was to occur for the young man tomorrow, it would be an acceptance that a lot of people wouldn't see or understand. Do you see this? Yeah. And when one loses this fear of death, because it is of the unknown, and yet, madam, you have an understanding, do you not, of the world of the spirit yourself?
Yeah.
And have your hands in the dirt, as it were. Do you understand me? And so it is a surprise to me in this moment that you would be the one indeed to vocabularize, to make vocal the statement that you did about the fear.
Yeah.
And what is it you fear, madam? Do you have a fear of where you will end up?
I do know what my fear is. I think my fear is my attachment to my people that I care about here.
And where, madam, you see, and you answer the question, where do you think that attachment is going to go, young lady? I mean, do you think that for a moment the spirit is going to lose the love it has for others because it moves from one sphere to another, from one form to another? Do you see?
No, yeah.
Well, think you, madam, let me say to you in this moment and to others, think simplistically, think spiritually, think logically, and one can mainly answer one's questions long before they need to ask another. Do you understand? And so think of it from a spiritual perspective. What would this, when you make a choice even in your daily life, if you were a truly spirit walking around the streets, even within your daily life, any action you think that may impact on others, ask yourself first, what would this spirit do now? And the answer will be as clear as any. Because you will always opt for the best outcome for all, even if it means some self-sacrifice on some level. Do you understand me? So, yes, and your third one, madam, yes.
Thank you. My first daughter, she went back to spirit, and I feel that she's back as my grandson. Do you think that could be possible?
You see, again, we go back to that thing about potential, madam. I could never ever put a cap or a boundary or anything in the way of the potential for the spirit world to do something. Do you understand me? There is no boundary. I cannot tell you that is the case in your instance, madam. But if you say to me, is that possible, which was your question, was it not?
Yeah.
Then the potential, madam, for such an event is fact, in my opinion, madam.
Thank you.
I cannot solidify, quantify, qualify, and turn that into stone. But as I said to you before, madam, let me tell you just a little something. We were having a discussion some time back, you see. And let me say to you that anybody that doubts the power of the spirit in a single moment, should reevaluate their understanding and the potential of what the power of the universal spirit can do in any instance. And it requires only one thing, and it's the potential for need. And in any one moment, if someone needs so greatly that something quite unimaginable needs to be achieved in order for it to happen, let me tell you, the spirit will respond accordingly. There is no barrier, there is nothing that you or anybody else can do in order to stop things, because it controls everything. It motivates, it's like the greatest timepiece in the world, and it can spin those cogs in any manner or shape or form it wants in order to maneuver or to accentuate a happening of need. Do you understand me? Do you understand me?
Yes.
Yes. God bless you.
Thank you, Nick.
And let me say that in this moment the energy is beginning to wane. So just continue, yes, ma'am.
Right, hello there. The
Yes.
question's a little bit general and a bit about yourself as well, if I can.
Yes,
I'd like to ask, the knowledge you have about the spiritual and the soul journey, is this common to everyone? When they die they'll get it and then they forget it when they come back here?
You mean of your personal self, young man, when you move on?
Yes, I was really asking, will everybody have this knowledge when they die, or are you an advanced soul and that's
No,
why you have this knowledge?
Goodness me, now, you see, as I said to you in the beginning, that there is no such thing. Well, there is, let me say, but I come to you not in that manner myself. Let me say this to you. There are those, it's all about vibration, young man, you see, it's all about vibration. And obviously the frequencies that even in this room there is a variation of frequency from one to another, from the solid that I sit upon here, you see, from the structure we are contained within, from the thought that you give, from the speech that you give, from the speed, the cells within your body. Do you understand me? It is all about frequency, you see, and there is knowledge and intelligence within yourselves. Do you understand me? You think the intelligence lies here, young man? Absolutely not. It is within the structure of the body itself and the cells. They are far superior because they know how to react to things. Do you understand me? They know the potential that they have within themselves. And I forget your question completely, young man.
Sorry, I was asking whether everybody will have your knowledge when they die.
Right, yes.
Or
So,
you're an advanced soul.
no, I'm definitely not advanced, young man, not in any way, shape or form. And let me say to you that my knowledge is my knowledge based upon where I've put myself and those that I've moved about with, and that which I've sought within my life. Yes, let me come out here. The energy is dropping, you just try and gather myself at this moment. Yes. Yes, we'll just gather ourselves to this one thing before we lose ourselves. And so, young man, no, I am not an enlightened being, and my knowledge base is that which I have myself. Do you understand me? Yeah. I gathered it accordingly. I put myself into my own. I have my own agenda of that which I wish to know. Just as you can go and study anywhere on anything that you yourself choose to also. Do you understand me?
Yes.
That is the essence of it, you see. But young man, I have no blinkers whereupon you have this veil upon you. Do you understand me? And so I see clearer into the vastness that lies before me, if you like. I have a clearer window to look out of, you see, as if somebody has finally polished this screen, and I can see things that I never knew before. Do you understand me? Yes. But it's all there. You will gain that which you seek, and simply that. The same as your soul is gaining that which it seeks while it is here. Do you understand me? It is of your choice, young man, and that doesn't change. You do not lose that free will aspect, you see.
Yes.
And so I'm going to leave you there, young man, and say God bless to you. Thank you. And so, young ladies and gentlemen, you see, the energy you see is waning here, and the young man's mind is coming to the fore, and I feel it with every passing sentence, you see. And so I'm going to give my blessing to each and every one of you in this moment, and say to you that I just wish to give you something to aim for within your lives, and not to sit still within this staid existence that is the human existence in itself. And I wish to say to you to make life exciting in itself, make life enjoyable, make life loving, make life giving, and expand and expand and expand, and sit not still for a moment, because let me tell you, I cannot put it into your mind strong enough to let you know that you will not be satisfied, however much you achieve and however far you go. And so I'm saying to you with the greatest authority on this subject, give of yourselves, do extreme things, do wonderful things, do things that make people see you, be noticed in things for the good things that you do, you understand me. Give of yourselves, love one another, because it is the essence of all. We survive, we live only through the power of that love and giving, you understand me. Be one of those, and when it comes to writing your book or looking or putting together that gallery of events within your own life pattern, as it were, then give yourself something worth looking at. Do you understand me? Do you understand me, all of you? Yes. So you see, it is easy in this moment, you see, and I feel it within myself, that we give you this knowledge, and yet when one walks out that door, it falls a lot of the time by the wayside, you see. But I urge you to be one of those. If one of you in this moment, in this room, decides, you know, actually I'm going to do those greater things I've always wanted but never did, be the one to do such a thing, and then share it everywhere and show the world that you did it. And I wish you God bless and all the luck in the world in your endeavours. God bless you.
Thank you. It's gone cold now, isn't it?
Kate,
Yeah.
you might know the answer anyway. This question is this a regular personality, this spirit guide?
Yeah,
spirit
it was.
guide,
There
or-
was two. So Samuel is the regular one that comes through, and then there seemed to be another guy who seemed a bit younger in the facial, different voice, but not for very long. And he's come in a couple of times, and then Samuel seems to come in.
So that was Samuel.
The main one was Samuel, the one that he first started and ended, and there was a
Felt
snippet.
like sometimes he was asking somebody else something.
Yeah, there was a snippet of another one now. Yeah, but it looks like Samuel's the stronger one.
And can you tell us the history of Samuel?
Slightly
Do you know
different.
who or how
Andy,
old
you
he
know
was
the
and where was
history. Is it 1800s, Andy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he said
He's London, isn't he? From London.
So he's from Green Park.
Lovely. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate everything, your energy and your input. It makes a difference to me. It was a very lovely night. I've enjoyed it, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it.
Thank you,
God
Colin.
bless.
Thank you.